Okay, where? Yes, please. I can only call you Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you very much. I was wondering where you got my name from there. Well, thank you very much. I'm also from Uganda. My question goes again to the coordination, because looking at diversity of the various stakeholders in agriculture, nutrition, and health, we may create a mechanism for coordination, but we really need a neutral body, which is very respectful to all these other sectors, not maybe dictating and all that. I know often within government, we are the lead agency. Which body really should be in the position to coordinate, and how neutral should really be, respecting all the views of all that? And which office this coordination should have, be at the national, regional, and the lower level up to the community level, for easy understanding and communicating for a better health, nutrition, and agriculture.
Okay, yes, let's go way down the back here. So both of you gentlemen, you can do it together if you wish.
Thank you very much. My name is Kennedy Bonfair from the University of Ghana. I would like to mention one key thing that I think we've not looked at in considering the importance of communication and helping to bridge the efforts in these areas, and that is the power of the youth. I think that something has been said about training, the curriculum for training the youth so that when they come up they'll be able to be responsible in what they do. I think that we need to get them involved. Eventually, they are the ones who are going to become the thinkers and implementers. And so if we get them interested in the issues that have to do with nutrition, agriculture, and health, then we would have a dual benefit. The first is that they will be equipped with the requisite knowledge to be able to make any recommendation that they could in the future. And secondly, they will become agents of communication in themselves. When they go to school, many of these people go back to their communities and they are respected a lot for the knowledge that they've gained. And so they will be able to have a first contact interaction with their communities on how these areas are linked. And again, we have several social network platforms today that the youth constantly are on. And so if we get them interested in this issue, I believe that we'll be better off in communicating these issues to them.
I can take one more, sir, two more, sir, and then Rajiv down the back, and yes, you as well. So three more, actually.
Thank you.
We've got a slight time constraint, and I'll explain what's going to happen at the end. But
I'm Kaba Joyner. I'm a health consultant. I think we've lost focus here. I think we've not put the focus where it should be. The focus should be on the beneficiary. That should be the focus. And then we, the experts, should be around the beneficiary. I think the little game that we played at the beginning, in which we were asked to sing, we, the experts, were singing, but you, as the coordinator, you didn't hear any of what we were saying. You had to ask at the end, what was it about, what was it about? So that's what we do in real life. We don't put the beneficiary in the middle. We put ourselves in the middle, and we shout at the beneficiary in the periphery. And they don't understand what we're saying. We're all shouting, and we don't understand what we're saying. So if we change rules and put the beneficiary in the middle, and we are the periphery, and then we coordinate what we're saying, we can all sing, and they will now hear and understand what we are singing about. Let's put the beneficiaries in the middle.
Rajiv, and then the gentleman in front of you, right down the back. Okay.
My name is Godwin Oyediji from the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science, Nigeria. I think we have neglected the traditional channels of communication, particularly for the rural populace, especially in West Africa, and I think this needs to be strengthened. The politicians use mostly radio, televisions, and so on. Television is for where there is electricity. Radio probably, well, can go through, but there's more trust in communication from the village chiefs, who are neither politicians nor religious leaders. They have been very effective, and this has gone down. I think this needs a new strategy to be revived. The second one is communication between professional groups. During the outbreak of bird flu in Nigeria, there were problems. The health people went on their own, develop their own communication for the public. The Ministry of Agriculture people developed their own communication and warnings. And it took a lot of efforts to bring the two together, to harmonize their pamphlets and literature and different communication for the members of the public. I think at this point, we should be looking at either seminars or whatever it is that will be bringing every professional group involved in agriculture and nutrition together, maybe biannual or whatever it is. But for our own region, we have not been sitting together. Thank you.
Rajiv with the final comment, and then we will do a couple of steps to close this.
Thank you, Warren. I'm Rajiv Tandon from Save the Children in India, and my comment is going to be based from India, but probably with a slightly wider context. I remember Klaus starting by talking about Coca-Cola and Nike, and he also clearly said how they had changed what could have been said to what is being said. The other was Michael's comment where he looked at budget allocations for 3 sectors. From the Indian context, I do not see the resources being available for communication at large to the research and development that needs to go in to change what is being said to what should be said. It's in neither of the sectors, and everything else that we as experts and programmers and policymakers hope and achieve too usually fails us when we want to take it to scale. And when I talk scale, I'm talking India. I'm talking of 1 billion plus people. So I think one message that probably needs to go out from here is dedicated resource allocations for, if we can call it really the research and development component. What Coke and Pepsi do to bring out that one message spends millions or probably sometimes billions of dollars. And we just hope that we would, without all of that, creatively sit in a room, 4 or 5 of us, come out with a decision. And we've seen polio eradication globally, and Warren has been engaged in it, and all the issues that at least India has ensured that would not allow polio eradication, and so on and so forth. So I think one request would be, as experts, as global platform leaders, to advocate for dedicated resources to improve communication. And then, of course, the cross linkages between nutrition, health, and agriculture are huge, humongous, complicated environments within themselves also. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to have to wrap this up, and here's my suggested way forward. In fact, yes, it's a compulsory way forward, actually. I'm sorry. Have you got 2 business cards and a pen? You're going to need 2 business cards and a pen. If you have it with you. If you don't, a slip of paper or something will do. I'm going to ask now the panel and to give me one headline, so it has to be like a headline from a newspaper, of something they will do differently after this discussion. Just a headline. I don't want any explanation, just what the headline is. I would like you on one of your business cards to write down what your headline is for what you will do differently. After the panel, Klaus, you wanted to say just a couple of closing remarks, I think? And then it's going to come back to me and I'll tell you what will happen with the business cards. Okay. So the headlines, Klaus, me, and then what happens to the business cards. I was going to do a quick 10 minutes on planning models in this area, but it's more important to hear your questions and the dialogue. There is a paper written for this session. It's on the conference website. It's associated with this session. You can open it up and you can read it and not have to put up with me just presenting it. So please, as the panelists are doing their headlines, your headline on the back of one business card of what you will do differently as a result of this session. Think about or create or develop or whatever it is. And now we're going to do the quick fire, including Klaus, of the headline you take from this session. Ryan.
I will use this conference to talk to my counterpart at Nestle and bring the discussion from this room to him and see what we can do with it.
Okay, one thing, a headline of an action you'll take as a result of this
conference. I would say from this conference, it's very clear there is a need to create a platform at international, regional, national, and grassroots level so as to provide a forum whereby all the issues raised here can be discussed by various stakeholders and a compromise is reached that can create a win-win situation.
Headlines at 11. A headline, like, you know, oh God is not a headline.
Oh my God. So many.
Well, it is, but not just not.
Yeah, I understand. I think more effective dialogue with private sector and the women's perspective, the women farming, mothers, home perspective.
Mike?
Okay. BREEZE, which is the station, BREEZE broadens coverage of agriculture, health and nutrition issues.
With alliteration, that's very good.
Recommendation would be listen to what the others have to say.
Listen to what the others have to say. So as Klaus is now doing some final comments, please just note down your headline. What you will do, one thing that's prompted you to have a look at more or do differently on the back of a business card. Or if you're writing it on paper, please put your email address on the paper if you're writing it on paper. Let me hand it back to Klaus, and then Klaus will come back to me and I'll do the final.
I was actually deeply impressed by the whole discussion on vocabulary, because that's something I have to fight in a research institute basically every day with. And it's not only the vocabulary from science to the general public, but it's also the vocabulary then to translate those things. And keep always in mind that root has a different meaning for a dentist and for a mathematician than for a gardener. And when we talk about livelihood, I mean, that was the example, nobody basically can translate it. I would also expect in future that the universities do more in training people, which they educate in agriculture, science or health, in how to communicate better. And we have done that at IFPRI. We had 2 researchers at IFPRI participating in a TED event. Those of you who are familiar with TED know this is really science made attractive. And it was hard. It was 3-4 times process on going over the slides and over the style of presentation. But at the end, it worked. I also would like to draw your attention that there's a revolution going out on there, the communications revolution. If you look into the institute, you have part of the people who even know how to spell Twitter or Facebook, and if they do, just because they have kids, and don't know how to use those social media. And you have others, younger colleagues coming in from the universities, and they use those instruments. And I mean, talking about the Egyptian style, I think transparency is a killer of any type of, or transparency is the death of any government not playing fair, etc. And with those tools coming up, you have Egyptian style pretty soon in most of the countries you see. I had prepared 2 last slides. The one is we were talking about headlines. This clearly is not one. But this most probably would make it. Man bites dog. And there are many man bites dog messages and knowledge within your own part. So make it intuitive so that you finally don't end up like Mark Twain ended up in Paris when he said in Paris they just simply opened their eyes and stared when we spoke to them in French. We never did succeed in making those idiots understand their own language. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who wants candy sweet? Anyone? I don't know who the winners were, but if anyone wants one, then they're up here. Don't all rush the table. So as you leave, firstly, thanks for attending. It's not easy in an hour and a half to cover all the issues. I hope people felt they were treated fairly, and at least we got some of the issues on the table and some ideas. As you leave, with the business card that has your writing on the back or the piece of paper, You're to find someone you don't know, and you're to give it to them. And they are to write to you in a week or so and remind you what you said you were going to do as a result of this event. So they will write you a letter. So if it was me, I'd write to Klaus and say, Klaus, you gave me a business card. How are you? How was the trip back? I hope the family are well, blah, blah, blah. And you said you were going to do as a result of this event, action A. How's it going? So that's what you're to do on the way out. The business card without, and if you've got a piece of paper with your email address on it, that's the same equivalent of a business card. The business card, or your name and email address on a piece of paper, is there someone at the back that can collect these on the way out? There was someone. Yeah. So if you put your hand up really clearly. Sorry, your name is?
Baru.
Baru?
Yeah.
Baru will collect all the business cards, or two of you there. So they will collect, and then we'll have, we'll actually be able to put a group together of everyone that was here, and we can do a quick bit of follow-up with you if you wish on any further details, etc. We might put a little group together. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you attending. Have a great time here in Delhi and at the conference, and my thanks in particular to the panelists and to Klaus for drawing us all together, and he's now buying the beer, so that's even better. So thank you very much, folks. Thanks.